Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast blood.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. I got my man Austin Ellis in the house by way of Nashville, Tennessee right now. Also known as one of the stars, one of the members of season 6 from The Voice. And Austin, it's funny. I was gonna just dig into having you tell people a little bit about yourself and your style of music and all of that to get started. But Josh, the man behind the scenes over here, he was asking me, how did you even meet Austin? I said, well, we'll just start there then. I'll just let him tell you. So why don't we tell everybody how we met?
All right, that sounds good. What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate you, man. We met on a plane to Cabo. I was heading out for a show, and you were out for a retreat, I believe. And we just happened to sit next to each other by the grace of God. And one of the first things I noticed was that my man had some fresh shades on. And, I had brought my best pair of shades for the Cabo trip. So I, broached the conversation, just complimenting you on your style. And then as we got to chatting a little bit and you had your phone out, I noticed that your schedule was about as dense a schedule as I had ever seen. And I'm a Google Calendar user myself. And compared to the average person, my calendar looks like a multicolor dream. But you had your day-to-day science down on a level that I had never been around. So of course that piqued my interest, and we got to talking about, books that we had read and philosophy, business, and so forth. And, we've been connected ever since.
Hit it off from there. Yeah, I knew there was something special about you too, man. Great energy, great vibes. Most of the time I'm quiet. I treat the plane like the gym. In the gym, I'm not the guy talking to everybody. I kind of like put my hood on with the headphones. Everybody can tell I really don't want to talk. On the plane, I'm that way too, because I can get work done. I read and I get work done. But you, I just felt great energy from, man. We ended up talking and hitting it off, and who would have thought we'd still be in touch after all these years? That had to be at least 5 years ago plus.
At least.
Right?
At least. Yeah.
5 to 7 years ago.
5 to 7 years. Yeah.
Yep. So then, I got home and I'm like, man, there was something special about that dude. And I didn't expect you to really stay connected, and you did. And we started to connect from there. And so tell people, you're an artist who has moved, who has had a lot of success. Really that's an entrepreneur. To me, you're a business owner, you're self-employed, so tell us a little bit about your journey and your style of music, and then how you got into music and all of that stuff.
Right on. Yeah, no problem. I grew up in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And as like a teenager, I got into performing at bars and restaurants, sang most of my life, taught myself guitar in high school. And then wasn't long before I was sort of taken under the wing of some working musicians in the area. And they sort of put me on with agents. The next thing you know, instead of working at the restaurants that I had been working at, I was performing at those restaurants and realized I could make a living pretty quickly as a teenager. So I went on to study music business here in Nashville at MTSU. They got a great recording industry management program, and went back to the DMV and basically ran like a business in the mid-Atlantic. So I would perform sort of from Philly to like Richmond. Never made it quite out to Pittsburgh or anything. It was just sort of that mid-Atlantic, I-95 region. And things were going well. I put out some CDs. And, I made a good living as a fresh out of college kid, you know what I mean? It was good. But eventually, you get burnt out playing 4 hours a night, 4, 5, 6 nights a week. I mean, it takes a toll on you physically and emotionally and so forth. So I kind of was looking for another way, and even considering a change of course on my life, because I always did well in school. I knew if I applied myself to law school or, finance or anything like that, that I could hang. So I was seriously considering those things when I sort of made a barter with myself that if I, people bugged me about American Idol and The Voice for years and years and years. And I was like, well, I bet I'm going to finally take them up on this like dare to go out and try this. And if I make it on The Voice, then I'll keep doing music, because obviously that's an indicator that, you know, I should keep pursuing it. And if I don't, then I'm going to law school. Like that, I was ready to go, bro. My bags were packed, honestly.
Wow.
Because I was so tired. I was burnt out, you know what I mean? Because I hustle hard, you know what I mean? Just like you know what I mean?
For
like,
how long? How long were you hustling like that in music before you got to that point? Like this turning point that we're talking about, how long was that going on for?
Like 10 years, like really.
So that's what people miss. There's the first part. If they just think, yo, Austin got on The Voice. Austin got on The Voice because he's been grinding for 10 years.
Facts.
It was just the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's that whole thing of I've been grinding all my life to be an overnight success.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's that to the naked eye, it seems like you had that moment, but the moment was just you capitalizing on an opportunity that you've been preparing for a decade. Right.
Yeah. And it was tough, you know, but and it got to the point later in that decade where I would even call it like paid practice. You know, my job was just showing up to the bar, playing for 4 hours straight. I was like, man, this has got to pay off somehow, some way, because I'm going to be the most polished, you know, seasoned musician at 25 that most of these people have ever seen in their lives. And so I did. I went to New York, you know, got on the bus from Baltimore, went to New York, stood out in the freezing cold, bro, for like 6-7 hours. It was like 18 degrees in Manhattan. So, you know, that's real cold.
No doubt.
And luckily in line, I stood next to a dude who had like a real down girl, like a down woman. I think it was his wife. And she was literally in Manhattan circling the block in a van. So that every like 20 minutes, he would just run out, grab like a sip some coffee, have a donut or whatever, and warm up in the car. And I just happened to be right next to him. And by like the second time, he looked at me and was like, "You trying to go?" I was like, "Bro, thank you so much." So we literally got out of like it was like a soup kitchen line in the
obstacles. Yeah, outside they're already testing to see how bad you really want it.
How much do you really want this, you know? And I was there sitting in there with his wife, you know what I mean? Like, you're the sweetest woman. I hope I find a woman like you one day, you know, la-di-da. But anyways, got in and did my audition, and I was the only person selected out of my group. And it was sort of like getting the golden ticket, you know what I mean? Like in Willy Wonka style, just like you never think, especially because you're in line with like 10,000 people, you never think that you're going to be the one that gets it, even if you believe in yourself and so forth. You know, in the back of your head, you're like, look, I'm going to just go on faith, but it's, you know, it is what it is, you know? And like I said, my bags are packed for law school. So I was sort of like, all right, this is going to be it. It's all good. And it just kept going. And next thing I know, I'm in LA. My mom's getting flown out. My 4-year-old niece is getting flown out. We're on national television. I'm with, you know, Adam Levine from The Voice, Usher, Shakira, Blake Shelton, of course, and then 100 other really talented musicians who I'm still friends with, probably at least like 4 or 5 of them. Now it's been, you know, that was 2014. So it's been almost 10 years now, and got lifelong friends from that experience. But it was kind of like going to like X-Men, like the academy. You just wanted to see what superpower this person had.
Yes.
What was their thing? What made them so special and so forth.
What did you learn from those coaches, Adam Levine and some of those other coaches? Anything stand out?
Well, I would say like some of the vocal techniques and stuff you learn from the coaches along the way will stick with you if you're paying attention. Also, you sort of seeing the entertainment industry from the top of the mountain, so to speak. So you kind of know what the pro top level people, how they get treated, how it all functions. And based on who you are as a person, you're going to determine, do you really want to aspire to that? Is that something that you really want or not? It's sort of like a boot camp. And honestly, one of the things that got me most in shape for what my life would develop into after the fact was the flights, the constant flights back and forth. And I know I see your Instagram on a daily. You're on a flight about every other day. And I'm on a flight about every week, or a couple flights a week at least now. And so it kind of got me in like shape, so to speak, for what a successful career in music actually feels like and looks like.
Other things people don't think about, you know, when it comes to the price. You know, it's like, oh man, it must be nice to sing and entertain and, you know, and all that and do what you love. Right. And that's the truth. But there's still a grind and a process to everything. There's people that are good, but they're not willing to pay the price to get on a plane, you know, every week to make that dream a reality. How did you handle the pressure, you know, of competing on, one of the biggest TV shows at that point. That had to be pressure. It's like, man, I'm about to go out here in front of everybody, not just the club or the bar or the restaurant or the wedding. This is like everybody's watching.
The whole world. Man, honestly, I think I sort of took it as, one, I stayed in the gym in the hotel, and that helped a lot. Just trying to keep a routine and keep level-headed. I tried to eat healthy and just put myself in the best state of mind and physical, spiritual sense to handle
spirit.
It. Exactly. There was also a lot of pretty girls that were there on the show, so they keep the pressure off. You're distracted and having fun.
I would think that put the pressure on.
Man, I don't know, bro.
They took the pressure off you. I like that.
I mean, you're in LA all of a sudden sitting by the pool, you know what I mean, in the middle of the summer with a bunch of super talented, cool people. I mean, it wasn't that bad. The production days, you realize that show business is hard work, because when you weren't on production, it was leisure. You're at the hotel, you're chilling. But when it was a production day, man, you're up at like 6. You got to go through like hair, makeup, and wardrobe before you even get to a 13, 14-hour day on set doing, this, that, and the other. So I gained respect for what people in show business really go through.
Yeah, so anybody at the end, there's another one that stands out. The people at the top, of where you want to go, you got to remember what comes with that life. I want to be a star, but do I want the 12-hour day? Do I want the 14-hour day? Do I want the 6 a.m. wake up? I want to be LeBron, but I don't want to play on Christmas and be away from my family. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And luckily, because of the nature of that, 5 to 10 years prior when I had been gigging, I had sacrificed a lot of Friday and Saturday nights that, my friends were out having fun and I was at some bar making a living, and there were holidays where you couldn't say no, you know what I mean? Because you needed to make sure that you were covering your expenses and your bills and making that life work. So I had gotten thick skin to the sacrifices that came with it. So I wasn't really too worried about it from that standpoint. As far as the pressure really came more so from your community. Once they kind of got wind what was going on, they want to know what's going on, and you had to keep everything a secret. So that was a little tricky, but all in all, once you get up on stage, it's just about the music. And if you're a musician, an artist, a performer, you know what it feels like to lose yourself or give yourself over to the performance, because really it's about a connection between you, God, and the audience. You know what I mean? And so you want to stay out of the way of that as much as you can to make sure that that's coming through. And so once you're on stage, it's music at that point, or like you would say, LeBron, once he's on the court, it's just playing ball.
Yeah, amen. What about, other than that moment, even when I got to see you last year in Pittsburgh, so funny too. He came in and on a whim, and we linked up and we went to dinner, Napa Prime. Yeah. And it was me, Natalie, and I think Sienna, my daughter, and you, or was it just me, you, and Natalie? Was it just me, you, and Natalie?
It was Sienna and who's your
Simon?
boy?
Yeah, my son.
Simon.
All right, so it was the whole family. All right,
yeah.
So, all right, it was the whole family. Gang. And then we had this room, and then the table next to us was big table of people celebrating their birthday.
Yeah. Yep.
And my wife was like, Austin, you should go sing happy birthday to him. And it's like, there was no questions asked. He jumped right up. I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, yeah, he ain't going to do that right now. He jumped right up, walked right over there and just blew it out, just tore it up. The whole restaurant stopped. Everybody was clapping for you. It was great. I'm like, yeah, that's my dog cool. Right there. That's why he came in here with me. Yeah, they loved you. He's like, yeah, you talk to him, get my number if you want. Then I became your agent after that.
This is my manager right there. He was just
talk about your experience when you performed at, doing venues, private parties, corporate events, weddings, festivals. Give me a little bit of inside scoop about some of that stuff. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny.
Right. Okay. I play a range of things. I go from weddings to corporate events to festivals to colleges to private events in people's homes, and they all kind of have their little idiosyncrasies. I would say weddings are a wonderful thing to be a part of, because you're literally stepping into a really special and important moment in someone's life. everybody that comes to a wedding, for the most part, you know, there might be a disgruntled somebody like an aunt or a grandparents, you know, there might be a little of a weird vibe from one little, but overall, the overwhelming group is coming there with a good, positive heart, mind, spirit, and they want to have a good time and celebrate love and celebrate people coming together. So to step in, and what I do when I perform in ceremonies and then cocktail hours, and then I'll perform people's first dances where it's just me and the couple. And like that connection that I was talking about, it's just us, like locked in this little bubble of a moment that everyone else is observing. And that's a really special thing, you know, because people are dancing. So you're literally like syncing up with these people's most special moments. And then I DJ too. So then right when I'm done, like, you know, with the heartstrings, it's like, take the clothes off and let's get wild.
I didn't know you could DJ too, dog.
Yeah. So that's a well-rounded experience. You know what I mean? And I'm on the receiving end, or I'm sort of the channel, the vehicle for all of those feelings, from the most tender moments to the most sort of ruckus and fun celebratory moments. So, I mean, I get adopted into a lot of families as a result, you know what I mean? Where it's like you build a lifelong connection, sort of like the people from The Voice, because it's such an intense experience.
Yeah. Don't happen all the time. Special moment. Exactly.
Yep. So some of those relationships still last, and I still check in and see those people when I'm in their cities and so forth. So weddings is a really cool thing. Corporate events is kind of funny because it's always a little stiff, you know, at first. People come in, they're worried about their boss. They're worried about their colleagues.
We'll be a little loose.
Let's go. You know, sign me up, Bubba. But, you know, so it's always like that first set is like trying to like get them over their anxiety, and then, you know, there's usually an open bar, so by the second set people start to chill out, and it's cool, but it's definitely not as intimate. Going into people's homes is cool and intimate, but it's also a little like, and you feel a little invasive, you know what I mean? It's a little bit like I'm over here by the fireplace, you know, jamming, but it's like, you know, there was a couch here before I got here. It's you know, so it's cool, but it's hit or miss, I would say, energetically,
based on how the people are.
Yeah. Then festivals is a lot of fun. I just did a festival last weekend in North Carolina, and that's cool because it's family friendly. Usually, you know, I can crack jokes. Last weekend, I brought like 9 girls up on stage with me to like do background dance for like the last 2 or 3 songs, and we had a straight ball. You know, so it's an environment where I can have more fun, be more loose, joke, interact more with the crowd, that sort of thing. So that's fun. And then colleges is sort of the same way. Colleges have a little bit of a mentor twist to them. You know, I'm able to like talk to some kids and spit game to them and teach them some things and try to encourage them in this moment of development to really shoot for whatever it is that they feel like, because there's always going to be naysayers. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times at those bars that I played that people were like, man, can you really make a living doing this? Like, you're going to starve, like you're going to struggle. I don't know why you're doing this, picking this life and so forth. And
wow,
you know,
just throwing all kinds of shade your way, bro, spitting that negativity on you.
Constantly. Like, meanwhile, they're like tipping you, buying a CD, signing up for your email list, but they're still dropping their little ounce of like doubt that they're trying to sow in you. And so you have to develop a certain determination and a thick skin and a focus and a self-belief in order to overcome the pressure, no matter what it is that you pursue. Because, you know, you're always going to be stepping on somebody's toes. Nobody likes change.
Especially, you know, if you're going up.
Yeah.
The minute you start getting above average, man, they're coming for you to talk some sauce, knock you down. You know what I mean?
They're trying to humble me, but I'm like, man, look, you got to talk to my music. I can't hear you. You know what I mean? So fortunately, I was able, you know, and one thing that I will say is that after The Voice, you know, they help you, they give you a lot of exposure. It's an incredible thing sort of on your resume as a musician, and it's impressive to, you know, the average person, but they're not putting money in your pocket necessarily after that. You got to go out and get it. And
people probably think you on The Voice, you get off The Voice and you made it, brother. Can you loan me $5 after that?
Right.
You got off The Voice. They said, my dude made it. Can you loan me about 100,000? You still got to go out there and put work in. Nobody's giving you nothing, right?
Exactly. And, all of a sudden the Christmas gift demands get a little bit bigger. You're like, man, what? Just Gucci? What you mean Gucci? Girl, you better go to Old Navy. You know what I mean? But but so there was a period after there, and they kind of tell you about it when you're going into it, that it's almost like a hangover, because again, your community, the people that you know and love, they're all building you up, supporting you, and pushing you, and they expect you to just like take flight.
Launch.
And there's not necessarily a path for people coming off the show to do that. Now, fortunately for me, shout out my boy Ryan Maloney. If you're ever in Vegas at a casino, you might catch him. He's got like an Elvis sort of vibe. He's really talented dude, does a lot of like rockabilly stuff. But he was still on the show. So literally, I lost my battle to the guy that won the show. And on the way back to the hotel,
lose, that's who I want to go down.
Like,
at least
like,
be
man,
one at all.
I lost to LeBron in the finals.
Yes.
Whoops. At least I was there. And to be real, funny story is that right after that, Shakira was so mad that she didn't have any steals because she liked me so much that she stopped production, which they don't do, and followed me off stage and like hung out with me and my mom and my niece. My mom's from Mexico City, and Shakira is obviously a world-renowned Latina artist, and I'm a young man looking at Shakira like, Jesus, please take me. You know what I'm saying?
Hilarious.
And she was so gracious and apologetic and was just hugging on me and loving me. And I was like, first of all, you got to remember, Shakira, I was ready to go to law school. You know what I mean? And now I'm hugging Shakira. So you don't have to apologize for nothing. Like, my life is blessed. I'm feeling good. But again, right after that, my man Ryan, on the way back to the hotel, and we probably had 2 or 3 conversations. We didn't know each other that well. So this is just sort of an idea about the grace that people can show you.
Yes.
He literally said, bro, if you want, I'll call my agent in Vegas and you can go and work all my gigs, play all the casinos in Vegas. He's like, my wife will pick you up. You can borrow my car, my sound system. You can stay in my son's room in our apartment until you pass like the test, so to speak, from the agent and from the casinos. And then you can get yourself on your feet, get an apartment, whatever. So literally, man, he like,
yeah, but why though? There has to be a reason other than he's a real nice guy. What do you think would be the reason? What would stick out? Because if I'm doing that, I'm a nice guy. I could see myself doing something like that. But the person I would have to know is worth the investment, that I'm down to help this person and be a bridge, but I saw this work ethic. I saw this attitude. I saw this situation. I saw something special about that person that would make me do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I had to ask Ryan exactly what was going through his mind to determine that. But, I imagine it would be something to do with my demeanor, my work ethic that I showed. The fact that most people, including among the production, which sort of explains Shakira's action, assumed that I would get stolen and therefore continue in the show. So maybe there was a bit of like, man, like he got kind of a bad deal and he should be on, let me help put him on. But honestly, I don't know. Because I was just remember thinking like, man, that's amazing. And I'm on it. Like, I will not let you down. And I didn't, I went there and
You did? You went to Vegas?
I went to Vegas. I got an apartment.
So there you go. So there's another point of when opportunity knocks, you got to get your bags packed. Sometimes you got to that could be the move.
Run it.
You got an opportunity. Nah, I ain't going to move. I don't want to move. I don't want to travel. I don't want to fly. I just want to stay home. If the opportunity knocks, you got to be ready to go.
Go.
Those are big things that happen that maybe you did that other people wouldn't have done, or they sit and wait on that opportunity and let years go by and don't do anything about it because they don't want to get uncomfortable a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I think again, like going back to that the 10 overnight success, 10 years in the making. It's like when you put in that kind of work and that kind of sacrifice and you get opportunities, I think you're more disposed to be like, oh, run that. Run that. You know what I mean? I'm going for sure because I busted my tail for so long.
What did you do for so long? What are those sacrifices that you speak of?
Man, like I said, bro, if you're playing 4 or 5 gigs a week, for 4 hours at a time, the average concert you go to, right? And you go see your favorite artist, they might play an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and a half set with a band, which means that they're not doing everything the whole time. Yeah. So that's the average musician that people go and pay their hard-earned money to play. And now I'm playing guitar and singing for 4 hours, bro.
Energy.
Five times a week.
Yeah, so like for people that are listening to this, like I'm thinking in my business, the average person gives 10 presentations. You was out there giving 40 presentations.
Exactly.
The average person was working 40 hours. You was out there working 80, 100 hours.
Bro.
You was putting in more effort.
Bro. And it's tough. It's hard on you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then again, like I said, that's all of your evenings.
Hard on you.
All
physically, mentally, emotionally, giving up weekends, giving up evenings. These are the things people miss. I want to be a star.
Right.
What was that song? I want to be a millionaire so bad.
Yeah, so effing bad.
You do until it's time to do this type of stuff.
Right.
Until it's time to you gotta work evenings. You gotta work weekends. You gotta move. You gotta do this. You gotta outwork the competition. You gotta
100%.
do more than what you're paid to do before you end up getting paid more and feel like you're worth more, but you gotta do more until that time comes.
100%.
Right.
And now, and by the grace of God, after the Vegas stint, eventually he came off the show, of course, because the season's end. He did really well. He went into I think the top 5 or top 10. And, he came back and his agent invited me to stay and sort of, kind of find where I could fit with his existing schedule. But like I said, before The Voice, I had a pretty strong business going on the East Coast, and I knew that I could pick that up. And I was like, no, I'm gonna let him have his world back, so to speak. Thank you. Definitely took me to another level and a great experience, but I'm going to go back and handle my business on the East Coast. And so I did. And, that was a humbling and a hard experience because all of a sudden I'm right back in the same grind, and I'm looking around like, man, I just went through this amazing transformative experience, once in a lifetime opportunity and so forth. But now here I am. And where do I go from here? And that hurt, bro. It was tough. And by the grace of God, at a rehearsal or like a jam session at a friend's house, my man Winship in Annapolis, Maryland, his wife was his agent. And I'm like, so where are you playing these days? What's going on? He's like, man, we found this platform called Gig Salad, and we're getting requests every day on this Gig Salad thing. You should check it out. And I was like, all right, bet. And I did. Bro, it cost me, I think, $300 or $400 to market myself in my, let's say the Washington, D.C. area, 50-mile radius for the year. Mm-hmm. I started getting the requests. I started booking the shows. And then I was like, man, this is working so good. And you know how it is on the East Coast. You can basically drive from Richmond to New York in 7 hours. Right. So you got Richmond, DC, Baltimore, Philly, Jersey, and New York, all within driving distance. So I was like, well, let me add Philly and let me add New York. Next thing I know, I'm driving up and down 95 playing bigger money shows in Philly and New York and in Richmond and in DC.
Who's driving?
Myself.
They missed that one.
Yeah.
Brother, they missed that one. There's another one. That's what I'm saying. I want it all, but I don't want to go up. I don't want to get on the car. I know cats that don't want to get in the car and go an hour. You going up and down 7 hours, 6 hours. This is the price you got to pay. You say I don't want to do that, then you don't have an opportunity. These are the things that you got to do to build.
Sacrifices. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I did. I would go 3.5 hours up, to New York, drive right into Manhattan, play a show. Bro, the tallest building in New York City, the Tower 1, where they replaced from the Twin Towers, that big building. Yep. I played the top of that joint. I played there for a big fashion event, but then pop out of the city and drive 3.5 hours straight back. Not even spend the night.
Grind.
Not even spend the night. Yeah.
Grinding. I respect that grind. That grind.
I'm like, man, I'm going to keep this Airbnb money, this parking money, I'm going to keep the profit so that I can reinvest into my business. So not 6 months into it, the CEO of Gig Salad's assistant emails me and goes, the CEO would like to speak with you. Apparently you're the top earning person on this site in the country. And I'm like, well, dang. All right, let's talk. I get on the phone, and this is a day when I did have a show in New York. So I'm driving up the way, talking to the CEO of Gig Salad, through which I booked this show. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? I'm trying to use your platform to the best of my ability. He's like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, I'm going to a show in New York. He's like, how much are they paying you for one person? Now you got to understand, from when I was a kid, a 4-hour show in the DC area, which is a higher paying market than most in the country, is about $250. for 4 hours. So I was on my way up to New York to do a show as a solo guitarist for $1,500. So whatever, it was six times the amount.
6 times what you was already getting.
And I was probably playing for 2 or 3 hours instead of 4, you know? And he's like, bro, I never thought in 100 years that anybody would be doing what you're doing on this site. And I was just like, well, bro, I don't know what to tell you, but you invented some powerful technology and, you know, thank you. And he's like, bro, I want you to come to Chicago and speak at the CD Baby conference and be like our success story and tell these people what's going on. I said, bro, absolutely. As long as you cover the expenses, you know, I'm there because I got to take off a weekend off of my schedule. So like, we got to keep it cordial.
Right.
And he was like, absolutely no problem. Flew me out. And here I am in Chicago. Stayed in a haunted room, by the way. I'll have to tell you that story another time. That was wild. But, but I get there and I speak to these people. And all of a sudden, there's probably like 400 people in this room that I'm speaking in. And you can hear and feel and sort of the energy in the room is bubbling as I'm speaking these people's dream, you know. I'm speaking to the people who are coming from the same struggle that I lived for the last 10 years about a path that they've never heard of before that is actually working for someone that can change their life. And the PR people and of the conference come up to me after I speak and you're like, bro, you realize that the social media engagement while you were speaking was higher than the entire weekend? It was the highest moment of the whole weekend was when you were speaking because it was connecting. I was like, man, I bet it was because it changed my life. When I thought that I was like, I don't know what to do now. You know, I was confused before I found this path. And so I'm talking to the CEO afterwards and I say, listen, man, rather than paying $300 or $400 per market per city, this is Mark Snyder, by the way. God bless that man. He's my man. Mark, wherever you are, love you, bro. And I said, instead of paying $300 or $400 for the year per market, if I could pay a monthly rate, you know, break that down, prorate that, and then that would allow me to say be in 10 markets for $200 or $300 a month, rather than paying $3 or $4 grand out of pocket up front to like get this thing going. Like, let me see how far I can take it. And he was like, no problem. Matter of fact, I'll give you a better deal than what you're asking for. He actually gave me a better rate than what I had requested because he's a good dude. And he's an agent. So he came from a background where he was tired of seeing people get abused and overworked and underappreciated. So he sort of already had the spirit where I was coming from. And so he put me on and I went from the 3 markets to like 5, and then I went to 10, and then I went to 15, and then I went to 20. And then I called my booking agents for all those $200 gigs, $250 gigs. And I was like, at the end of this year, I will no longer be performing in bars and restaurants. Like, thank you for helping me through the last 10 years of my life. I love you, but I don't want to do that anymore. And you can just consider me done. And it was sort of a leap of faith because I had only been doing the gig style thing for like 6 months. And it was like all based on my projections and the way things were going that I could see that I wouldn't need to do it anymore. But I didn't have like a year's under my belt where I could say for sure I was going to replace my income. So it was a leap of faith. And I think that's an important thing too, is that there are times, and I think I saw something that you posted recently about risk, you know, the reward, you know, the success. You got to go through risk. You got to be willing to take certain steps that are even harder.
Risk is the price you pay for opportunity.
Risk is the price exactly. And there are moments in your life, aside from the day-to-day sacrifices and the grind that you should expect to put out in order to get what you want in life. But there are certain points in your life when you have to be willing to take a risk in order to elevate, to go to the next level. And so that was my sort of like act of faith. Like, I'm not doing this no more. And I believe in myself and I believe in this business that I'm developing and I'm going to go for it. And that next year was the first year I ever made 6 figures.
Wow.
That
went all in.
Life. Just let's go.
When was that?
That was in 2016.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And then so from there, I've taken it to where now I'm in 40 to 50 markets in the US and Canada. And I'm, you know, year over year, steadily increasing as far as the 6-figure thing, moving up the ladder.
Then you just increase what you charge.
Right. So exactly. It was just a simple.
More demand.
Higher leverage, higher price.
Because it's only so much time you got.
Exactly. And so we're leveraging this thing on a, US and Canada, so, international level. That's how I ended up going to Cabo, was because somebody from New York was having a retreat in Cabo, similar to what you were doing there. And they had found me by Googling and finding Gig Salad, finding my platform, talking to me and saying, and I said, yeah, bro, I'll come out to Cabo. Sure. Matter of fact, let me put my boy on from The Voice. So my boy Nelson from Baltimore came out, Nelly's Echo, and they found another person from The Voice. And the three of us went and did a show in Cabo.
Sweet.
So, you go from sort of a perpetual grind in these bars and restaurants to The Voice, which is incredible. It's about as big as it gets, so to speak, and then right back into that same grind. And then, there's a line in a Jay-Z song that I really love. He said in Renegade with him and Eminem, he said, I drove by the fork in the road and went straight. And that's really what I did at the end of the day, was I saw an opportunity that even the founder of the company didn't realize was possible. And I went for it, and now I own a home in Nashville, Tennessee on the lake, and I do healthy 6 figures every year.
Just getting started too. You're young.
Bro, I'm sitting in a really nice, like this studio that I'm sitting in right now is no joke on a professional level. And, I'm blessed, bro. And once things got bigger with me after like maybe the first or second year, I spoke again for Gig Salad in Nashville, and I spoke to Mark and I said, look, I think we should make this available to all working class musicians in the country and in Canada. I said, let me develop a course to teach these people. And so I did. I developed a course to help up and coming musicians. And I put on maybe like 10 or 20 musicians at this point.
Oh, that's nice. That's dope, bro. Awesome.
Bro, it's life-changing for them.
Helping other people. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is there, being in Nashville, it's kind of like music capital, you know what I mean? Yeah. Nashville's music central. Is there a competitive aspect to living and performing there at all, or nah, because of there's so much stuff going on around the country?
I'll say one thing. Musicians are, there's a spectrum that musicians like exist on, and some people are really ego driven. And some people are like a little autistic, and I'm probably a little autistic, so that's like there's communication challenges, but sometimes it's hard to help people. You know what I mean? That's what I've noticed is people are resistant because basically you're coming to them, telling them that something that they don't know, that you're almost like you're smarter than them.
It's just a lack of humility. And you can't become great. You can't leave where you are and go to the next level if you can't have some humility about you enough to learn from others and be willing to take advice to increase your opportunity.
Right. And so
but it is hard to help people.
It's tough,
simple.
man.
You could tell them exactly what to do.
Yeah. You can try to put them directly on game. That's something that would literally turn their whole world up where they're trying to, in their mind, where they're trying to go, but they will resist and fight you off basically. And so it's been a challenge to so I wouldn't say competitive, more like combative. You know what I'm saying? More like don't want to listen to nobody. And like the saying goes, right? It's like you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
It
Amen.
is what it is.
Let me ask you this. Go ahead. What were you going to say? You have something you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say that now what we've resorted to do is for us to integrate my business model into Gig Salad itself, to where it's actually an offering from Gig Salad and not from like an outside expert. I'll still be the expert, so to speak, within and create the content for Gig Salad, but it'll be directly under their umbrella and name. So that way it's non-threatening to, Nice. It's not like I'm this big bad musician and I'm trying to tell you how to do it. It's like, look, this platform that is giving you your gigs already is trying to tell you there's a better way to do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we're trying to, with the whole goal with Gig Salad was to put people on. And for me, because, now, I'm married now and I got a baby girl on the way and I'm comfortable with that. I'll tell you what, if I had gotten a girl pregnant or was thinking about getting married when I was playing bars and restaurants, you would see a panicked face. You know what I mean? but because of my situation, I'm cool. I'm like, I can handle this. You know, I picked a great partner, and she's a strong, beautiful woman. I know she works harder than anybody I know.
Wow.
And
Can't wait to meet her. I haven't met her, have I?
no, you haven't, bro, but
Amazing.
it's gonna happen soon. Let's
Can't
go.
wait.
Yep.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Lot of sad women out there, man. Lot of hearts broken, my brother. I know there was the chicks loved you, my dude. You could sing them too with all that swag. Oh man. Good for you. Congrats, man. I'm sure she's an amazing woman, man. That's a great piece of it too. Well, as we wrap up, man, I want to ask you one more question, and before I do, just so I don't forget, because I know a lot of our listeners are gonna want to follow you, man. You're entertaining for sure. So how would somebody be able to follow you or contact you for a show or something like that?
Right. On Instagram and TikTok and so forth, my handle is BY Austin Ellis. So at BY Austin Ellis. So you can find me online that way. If you Google Austin Ellis, if you're interested in me performing for your event or your wedding or anything like that, it's really easy to get in touch with me. In fact, my wife will be the one to, help you through the process, because now she's my, assistant and booking agent. So she's in the business now. And we'll be happy to come out and entertain and connect with you. And then we'll be putting out some new music here towards the end of this year. So
I love it. I like it. That's what's up. Anybody that calls through the GRINDcast too, I want 99% back this way if anybody gives them a call.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
I'm teasing. I don't want nothing. Come on. I got to bring you over here. I got to bring you over here. I got to find an excuse to get you over here. I'm going to work on it.
I want to come to one of your things.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah. You already got to, we saw you at our executive council. We got to hang out with you in Nashville. This past year, dope. I got to see my dog, had some fun with you, cracking me up. Everybody loved you, Mr. Social.
Remember when we had the tip jar and I went around the whole joint?
Yeah, you're a savage, bro. You don't care. You're crazy. Between you and Perm, you guys don't care. Legit don't care. We'll do anything. You're nuts.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that you can give as we wrap it up to musicians or entrepreneurs, people just trying to make a name for themselves and get it going? What's your best piece of advice or encouragement?
Well, one I would say is to insulate yourself from outside influence and criticism or doubt, and that, I think that comes through belief and prayer and meditation and a good support system. So, when people tell you that you can't, you got to be able to still be friendly with them, because at the end of the day, you want them to listen to your music or get into your business or maybe refer you to someone. But you got to find a way to politely disagree with them, and not take it to heart. Because if you were to stop at every person that told you to stop or that doubted that you could do it, you wouldn't do anything in your life. And so that's an important, factor. Going back to that line in that song about driving by, going through the fork in the road and going straight, is that there is unlimited opportunity and possibility in this world, and you can create a path that no one else has created. And just because someone else hasn't done it or figured it out yet doesn't mean that you can't be the one to actually make something happen and make your dream and create a new reality and a new dream, that then people can follow in your footsteps. So don't be afraid to be different and to pioneer new ideas and new things. And you're going to end up helping people in the long run. I think those would be my two pieces of advice.
Love it. Do you think it's possible to go, and I don't want to lead you into it because I want you to just be real and give me your honest to God opinion. Do you think it's possible to go to new levels and higher levels without some level of sacrifice, giving up of something?
I can't imagine how, because even now, right, I'm blessed, bro. I go and I fly to the most beautiful places in this country playing and performing for some of the nicest people and get treated like a king. But I still got to get up, at 3-4 o'clock in the morning sometimes to catch a nonstop flight to San Francisco. That day, get a car, maybe take a nap at the Airbnb for an hour, go play a 3 or 4 hours, whatever it is that my obligation is. And then the next morning at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, get up and fly either back to Nashville or to another city to go do the same thing. And that's tough on you.
That's a grind.
That's tough still.
No doubt.
It's just that now the stakes are higher and the benefits far outweigh the cost. So even when you're successful, and I know you can attest to this because you're probably one of the hardest working men in showbiz, like they say, even when you're successful, the grind doesn't stop. It's a mentality, it's a lifestyle, it's a commitment. But as a result, look at the world blossom around you, bro. You got a beautiful family, beautiful network and business and home and people who love and believe in you and support you and who you mentor and support. But you probably the hardest working guy in the room most of the time. And I'm here in Nashville in my lane, in music, working to create something similar. And I know every day when I get up, even if, I want to take a half a day off or something because I'm exhausted physically from a tour or something like that, that I got to get up and go. And the only way I'm going to have an impact and help people, and even on an emotional level with the power of music, is if I stay consistent and work hard, So it don't stop.
Fire. Love it, bro. All awesome stuff. I know that you've and congratulations on everything, man. I remember you first telling me when you first started really falling in love with this girl. I remember us talking about it and you telling me, you're going to be happy I got somebody to help me, because I was always telling you got to delegate some stuff, brother. We got to hire some people over here. I remember. So I remember that, man. It's cool to see all of that play out, man. And I'm proud of you, man. And you just getting started. You're young and hustling and grinding. And now life is even about to get better for you. You're a reason why your motivation factor, brother, is getting ready to go to a whole nother level.
I feel it coming.
It's going to. It's already there, and now you're the type of person. Some people take that and it makes them slow down because they're just hit in the face by love, so much, and other people take that and it makes them speed up, go to another level. Yeah. I got somebody responsible for me. I got to bring it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. And I could tell you're that type of person. So you're going to just go to another level, man. So congrats on everything. I'm proud of you. Appreciate you. Likewise. And thanks for hopping on a episode of the GRINDcast with us, my brother Austin. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys, man. Appreciate you, bro. Love.